Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome back to another Supercoach Insider podcast. My name is Swizz, here with my 2025 Supercoach Beginner's Guide. This will be a three-part series, today focusing on Classic. We'll have a draft podcast, and we'll also have a team review with some of the content creators and experts team to hopefully put you on the right track for the 2025 season. It's one of the biggest questions I get from our community out there. We've got friends or family signing up to Supercoach, not too sure what to do. Can you give them some tips? Also, we get some players who are seasoned players who do have different questions that they do throw at us. So here is hopefully a guide that'll help you guys as well. We've also got early access to the pre-season and season guide from the Swordplay community. We really do appreciate them jumping on board and giving us their lingo guide. So we'll go through some of that to help you guys understand some of the lingo that does get thrown around in the Supercoach and fantasy world. But before I jump into this episode, as always, check us out on all our social media platforms, in particular the YouTube, Spotify. Get in contact with us via X, Supercoach Insider 100, or Swizz26 for me directly. This preseason, we've put out a ton of videos. We've got our own team reviews. We've been doing the Boom and Bust series, and we've got the team by team review of each club. We'll also be reviewing the match sims and the preseason matches. So you guys will be up to date and all ready to go when round one kicks off, not round zero, but round one for our Supercoach teams. All right, we'll click straight into signing up to Supercoach. So the best way to do it is you need to come into the supercoach.com.au. You'll get a screen like this. There's multiple games that you can play. So during the winter, we've got AFL, and then we've got NRL, and then in the summer, BBL and NBL. So whatever your poison is. So I'll click on the AFL icon. Free to play. So don't need to worry about any money there, though. Some people do run different cash leagues and everything like that. We'll do the proper sign up. So I'm going to sign up with using our Supercoach Insider content creator email. I need to set a password. So I'll put one of them in. And then for this, I'll just put Supercoach and Insider as my name. You do need to have your name and details in because you're only allowed to register one team because there is prize money on the line. So they don't want people in adding multiple teams. Because I'm in Melbourne, I'll just put the Melbourne postcode for now. And then you need to go through, there's a privacy statement, and then prove, like everything these days, that you're not an AI robot. So once you get through that easy little setup, sign in, and it will take you into the first page of where you want to go. For us, we're going to the left today because we're doing Classic. The right-hand side is Draft. So Draft, we'll go into a bit more detail in that draft video, but that's where you can start a league and play not against everybody else out there, but it's just against a small group of people, and you can only draft one. Each player only gets taken once. Where in Classic, it doesn't matter. It's your own team, so you can pick whoever you want as long as it's in the salary cap. So we're going to go to Classic, the most popular one here. It says put your knowledge to the test in our Classic fantasy game. Pick your squad and manage your team throughout the 2025 season to win great prizes. All right, so you need to then choose a team name. For this, I'll just put Supercoach Insider. All right, then you've got to then choose a team name. So for this, I'll just go Supercoach Insider. Put in your phone number. Again, this is why they need to contact you in case you win a weekly prize. One of the other prizes are going on. Your birth date, I'm just going to put 1990, and you can choose any team. I'm going to give the GWS a bit of love. Pick your gender. Don't need to actually disclose if you don't want to, but we'll just do that. Because we're doing a beginner's guide, we'll click the beginner, and then it's obviously all these tick boxes that you get right now. So I'll just tick no for all of these. Again, the terms and conditions, and then we'll start creating our team. So yeah, it's like with every website these days, there's all these little parts to it. So you'll be taken to this screen now. You've got multiple tabs up the top. You've got the home, Classic, Draft. There's a tipping part to it, news, and then the other sports, NRL, BBL, NBL. So we've got some how the team layout looks right now, and I'll get into a little bit more of that detail in a second. And then underneath, you've got my team, game day, leagues, rankings, and players. We are going to be talking about different terms as we go through this. So I'm going to go to our our new players guide, which is the Lingo guide for this year. So here's the front page of what you could potentially get if you wanted to sign up here. This is a 100% digital little Bible that these guys are putting on this year. So I've got the link in the show notes and also down the bottom. So if you want sort of more information, and especially, I think all the hardcore fans will be probably trying to get a copy of this, but even if you're new and you want to find out a lot more about Supercoach, fantastic guide. It's about $20. I think if you put in Swizz 10, when you're paying, you get 10% off. So we used to have a thing called the AFL Prospectus, which was kind of the Bible for a lot of Supercoach players. So yeah, the boys have tried to recreate their own version of that, because we haven't had it for quite a few years. I think maybe what was it, about 2016, 17 might have been the last year. The Champion Data Prospectus guys put that together. So here we go in regards to some lingo. So Supercoach lingo general. So premium at the start of the season, any player who's usually a top sort of 6 to 8 player in their position, or top 3 ruck, typical price about $600,000. So that will get used that talk a lot, because we want as many premium players in our side. We also want potential players who become keepers. A good version of that this year is Caleb Daniel. He's quite cheap, but he has the potential to be a season-long keeper for us. Mid-pricer, guys who are usually in that sort of 200 to 500 range. There's a lot of names that they've listed there. So your Jack McRae's, Bailey Smith, Phillip, who's now injured, Daniel. So some guys there who a lot of people are looking in the forward line. We've got rookies. Players are usually under the price of the number 1 pick of $203K, $500 this season. I usually look at rookies more under $250K. So my usual definition is 250 and under is a rookie, 250 to 500 is a mid-pricer, and then a premiums after that. But in the midfield, your premiums are more 600,000. Relevancy, the relevancy of an AFL player does not correlate to their Supercoach relevancy. Most relevant Supercoach players are designated kickers, inside midfielders, ruckman. So you need to have a think about that with your team. So like a key defender, they've listed there, Jacob Wiedering, or a key forward like Nick Larkey, are not as relevant when it comes to Supercoach. Correction trade, that'll be used more throughout the season when you need to change, fix up one of your players who's in your team who hasn't performed as well as you might have not. So upgrade target, downgrade target, midfield minutes, CBAs, that's a really important one we'll talk about. So players who are getting centre bounce attendances. So after every goal, there's 4 players that go in the middle for each side. There's a ruck and then 3 midfielders. So we're always looking at those players because they're getting the first bite of the cherry of a contest, and then usually follow the ball around. Important kick-ins. Important because those players who take the kick-ins after a behind, if they play on, they're getting a free possession, which is always great for our Supercoach team. We've got Sol Ruck, so we're looking at Ruckman who just ruck by themselves. A huge definition on risk profile there, which I love. Magic number there. Now this is a bit next level thinking. So the magic level in Supercoach is a value that is used to calculate a player's price for a game. A player's price is calculated by multiplying a player's average by the magic number. The magic number to start 2025 is 5,388.45. Once price changes, when the magic number is higher than the points per dollar, these players can be considered as value, and vice versa, a player can be considered as overpriced. So that's how a Supercoach's values work, and off of their last score, and then their average from the previous year, and then times by that amount to get their dollar amount, and then it obviously moves around on after you've played 3 games. So we're looking, especially the rookies, we want them to play at least 3 or 4 games so we can get a bit of a spike out of them. Perfect world if they can play sort of 6, 7, 8. That's the best case scenario for us. Break even. So that's the number of Supercoach points a player needs to score to maintain their price. If they obviously score under that, they drop in value. And if they score more than that, they go up in value. Point of difference, a mid-pricer or keeper or premium who's owned by less than antipod. So a player that's highly owned that you're sort of against, points per minute, and how that works there. You'll see players that might play a lot of game time but still score well, so they have high points per minute, where other players, they might have a large game time but they just don't score well. So they've got the VC loop. So an important one where each week your vice captain and your captain play. And if your vice captain scores generally over 125 points, you'll try to loophole that with a player who's not playing, so you get their score doubled. And then if they don't score that well, then you put it on you captain on somebody else, and you're really hoping they go more than 125. So we've got dual position players. So they're players who can be alter between two different positions. You got a midfielder and you got a forward, and they can you can swap them in between both positions there. Points per dollar boost. Boost is good because you get 5 extra weeks where you can use an additional trade. So most weeks you have 2 trades to use, but you're capped for 40 for the season. But some weeks you can use 3, or during the bye rounds can use 4 trades if you decide to boost. Flex is a new position for us this year, so that's something very new. The way it's going to work is your 23rd player covers your worst scorer on any given line. There are a lot of strategies that are going to be discussed throughout the season. Time on ground, a player that has more time on ground. Obviously, it's got the better chance of scoring. Very hard to score when you're sitting on the bench. 3-round and 5-round average. You'll see that listed throughout the season. So that's how the player's scoring over those last 3 games, the last 5 games. A rolling 3 game average. That's what's used to affect their scoring. So I'll read that one out. Extending from the 3-game average, the rolling 3-round average is used in the calculation of a player's break even and their prices. For instance, if a player scores 50, 65, and 70 in rounds 5 to 7, their rolling 3-game average would be 61.7. But after a score of 80 in round 8, their rolling average changes to 71.7. Defense versus position, a statistical measure which provides a semi-accurate indication of the strength of a matchup. For instance, between 23 and 24 St Kilda were one of the easiest matchup for opposition's designated kickers. DVP data for Supercoach is readily accessible of the last 5 games and the last 10 games, or DFS Australia. So DFS Australia does a great job on stats where who's taking kickouts and all this sort of DVP data. So who's matching up, who's a good matchup for us to look at in certain positions. So you obviously want players who are going to have a good run. Rucks are a great example of this. You just kind of look at a ruck draw and go, okay, I can possibly get this player for the second half of the year because they've got a softer draw than maybe the other player that you're looking at. We've got champion data scaling, adjustments made by data away from the standard points attributed from action, say tackles plus 4 points, dependent on the time and situation of the game. So, for instance, when the game's on early and people are getting kicks, handballs, tackles, they're worth normal points. If the game's a 10-goal blowout, some of those points aren't worth as much as the game goes on. We've got some phrases here. Guns of rookies. So a starting team structure where all your starting and bench players are either primos or rookie players. So that's a well-known one. Cash cow. Any player who averages more Supercoach points significantly above their average, where the priced at. For instance, Levi Ashcroft may average 80 points per game, but it's priced at 34 points per game. So he turns himself into a cash cow if he can maintain that. Fallen premium, we've got team dependent, trap, rookie on the bubble. That's another important one. So a player who's played 2 games and he's about to massively increase in price, you want to get them before their bubble game, so you can get that value into your team. Buy structure and planning, very important this season because of the amount of buys that we have. Role dependent, so players change roles from a footy perspective all the time. So, if a player's been moved up forward who's normally a midfielder, that's not a good role for us from Supercoach. We're a player who moves to the back line and playing a half-back or a kicking role, can have a lot of value for us. Captaincy material, premium player who consistently scores above 120. Sam Flanders was probably as reliable as you can get. I think he won the ton run last year, where the most hundreds in a row. Ship has sold. Pretty stock standard there. Must buy, breakout, Spuds. That's from our good mate from Abs Magic, the Skodfather, who refers to players being useless in his team. Burn Man and Never Again list. You'll see that a lot of people talk about that, where, I don't want a bar of a player who has burnt me in the past. And there's some great examples for that. I'm trying to get Jaden Short off my Burn Man list this year, but I don't think I can do it. He has burnt me a couple of times. Rage trade, somebody who's been underperforming for you, and typical, you get angry and you want to trade that player out. The moment Supercoach opens, fake primo, a player that's been touted as primo but is averaging less than what we're expecting of them. Sub risk, players who might get the vest, and if they're getting the vest, that means they're not playing a huge amount of game time. From a footy perspective, we want to stay away from players like that. Carnage means you just got a lot of injuries or a lot of players underperforming in your team, and it does cause a bit of a panic in the Supercoach community. Maxed out when a player, particularly a rookies, break even exceeds their average, and means they're going to make no more value for them. Non-playing player, you'll hear quite a lot where somebody's trying to get that VC captain loophole going. So you're trying to say, for example, they've actually said Richmond or West Coast players, but let's pick a Richmond player like it might be Sims, who's not going to be playing probably many games. You'd have him there in your, say, ruck position. If your vice captain scores really well and you want to double his score, you bring Sims onto the ground, make him the captain because he's not playing. Put your other ruck as the emergency to get his score, and then that score gets doubled. Full premium is when your whole team is a bunch of primos. Couple good late ones here. Bevode, popularly owned Western Bulldogs Supercoach player who is in the wrong position or drop, resulting in poor scores or stagnant cash generation, cause angst and outcry among the community. We've got one up, one down. So that's usually for trading strategy where you're trying to trade two players, usually one down to a rookie and one up to a keeper. Upgrade cadence. Upon starting upgrading your team, ensure that you bring in at least one upgrade target each week on the journey towards becoming a full primo or keeper team. So we've got some player nicknames and abbreviations that you might hear both in the Supercoach and the footy world. Some good ones. The Suitcase, which is Hugh McCluggage. We've got Titch, who's Tom Mitchell. Shrek, who's Darcy. Baz Lenker. Bailey Smith. We keep going through some of these. Helmet Head, which is Caleb Daniel, because he wears a helmet, pretty obvious that one. The Peanut, Peter Laddams. Gov, which is McGovern. And finally, the Bont. We've got $10 million to spend on 31 players, 8 in our defense, which 6 will be on field, 11 in our midfield, which 8 will be on field, 3 rucks, 2 on field, 8 forwards, 6 on field, and finally a flex position to cover everybody there. You can see the difference. We can look through their 2024 points, which they scored overall, 2024 average, and also how many matches a player had played. Supercoach Gold is open to everybody in the preseason, so we can actually click on ownership and choose players who have high ownership in the Supercoach community. Perfect world, our plan is to try to get as many premiums as possible. So a lot of these top guys, the problem is with $10 million, you'll see that'll fill up very quickly if we don't go cheaper players. So before we talked about guns and rookies, so premiums and just rookies, or you could sort of go value and get put more players in that mid-pricer range and fill teams like that. But you need kind of a bit of a balance to sit your team really good. The best place to have a look first, if you've never played Supercoach, is go to the ownership. Kind of maybe choose a cookie cutter team and then start editing it from there. So cookie cutter means pretty well the same as everyone else. You make a batch of cookies. They all look the exact same when you cut it out of the dough. So that's what we'll do to start off with. And then if you like, you can go through more our detailed team videos when we get to that, but just to sort of see what will happen. So Sheezel's one of the best premium defenders. I pick him. We drop down to 9,364,400. So we'll put some of these guys in here just to show you what it looks like as we finish. We'll go Holmes, Leak, and then a couple other ones. So I fast forwarded. We've got our team nearly filled. We've got 30 players in there. We've just got our flex to pick, but we've only got 466,000 left. So we might slot a player in there. If you come across a player that we can't afford, that we don't already have picked, so you can see we can still pick these rookie type players. But if we get to say Zach Butters, it'll come up and say you can't afford that player. So if we want to get him in, we'll have to come back afterwards and edit our team to put him in. We'll just choose a player for now. 25,000 left. We're going to save my team for the first time. Make sure if you are doing edits, you do save your team. And it says your team is entered. Welcome to your 2025 Supercoach team management page. Here is where you make all the tough decisions, and it goes through a step-by-step guide. Simply hover over any player to see your editing options available to you. Hit the captain icon to make a player your captain for double points, or name a vice captain as your backup. Click on the T trade icon to trade a player out of your squad. Name 4 emergencies on your bench. Click the S to substitute players to move them between your starters and your bench, or between positions where available. Here, flick over your list view to get all your available stats for selected players. We've got optimize your team. I try not to use the optimize button. Trade assist will give you some trade ideas. Supercoach Plus, if you want to buy a Supercoach Plus subscription. Handy tools over here. Keep an eye on the upcoming fixture, and that's our tour down. And there's always the helping hand up the top. It'll say down the bottom from now on, if you have not selected 4 emergencies, this will stay up until we go away. We can optimize our team. So if we do this, it will put all the good premiums on. It will actually put the emergencies on for us. So let's use that in this case. It'll choose us a vice captain and a captain. So now I scroll past, I've got 25,000 left, and this is what our team has shaped up to look like. Now, there's good and bad about this, and we'll go into a little bit more detail in one moment. But let's just say, yeah, there's a mistake there. There's a player there we missed out on, and we want. So let's just say it was that Butters guy. So we want Zach Butters in. We go to the T. We're going to trade Nick Dacos out. It'll come up now, our 656 in the bank, and we can scroll down there. Zach Butters, we want to put him in. We're going to click him. We're now down to 7,500. But now we've got to make sure we scroll down and hit the save button, and where our team will fire back up. So we've made that change. So that is how we can do that as many times as we want pre-season. But when it comes to the season starting, we have a set amount of trades. And you'll see up here at the top, round 1 trades, unlimited, boost 5, but that will change once the season has begun. It's got a projected score for my team. So if I do go to the Supercoach Plus, it gives projections for what these players are likely to score in the first round. These rookie projections are going to be off because there's no data to back that up. So these guys will most likely score a lot higher than that. I did say, captains and vice captains we need to look at. So if I want to change my vice captain, let's just make it actually, no, Bond's already got it. Let's make it Tristan Cherry. He's got the vice captain, so he turns blue. And maybe we want Zach Butters, the captain. He will turn orange. In regards to that loophole situation I talked about before, let's just say Tristan Cherry in game number 1 scores 140, and you want to make him the captain now. Let's just say Boyd isn't playing. We put Boyd on the field for DeConning. We make sure DeConning's got the purple emergency on him, and Boyd now becomes our captain. He doesn't play. We get Tristan Cherry's double score. So that's how that part of the game works. These emergencies are there to cover any player that is a late out or just pulls out for the week. So you can use your bench cover for there. The big thing this year is we do have a lot of buys. So if you go up the top here, you can see show buy rounds. So if I click on this and put round 2, I've got Whitfield coming out of my team. So I'm going to need a defender to cover him. My midfield, not affected at all. My ruck's not affected. My forward line not affected. And also my flex. During the buy rounds, it is best 18 players. So I've got more than 18 on field. So it will take my best 18 scores and put them together for my total score on that week. If I'm playing in a league and I'm playing against somebody else, my total score versus their total score, whoever has got the highest score wins that league matchup. So I would be looking very good in round 2. If I flick down to round 3, however, all of a sudden you can see I've got plenty of players start missing. So I've got to make sure I'm going to have at least 18 players on field. So Leak doesn't actually look like he might not play. So let's just say Whitlock comes on for Holmes. If I don't think Leak's going to play, I can obviously trade him out. I've got some cover for Ashcroft there. So that's fine. My rucks, I don't have any cover. So that is a little bit of a problem, and I might have to consider not having those same rucks. And then we've got the Actually, no. So the rucks are fine there. It's a further buy down, which is a problem. So the rucks are fine for now. And then here in mine, I've got my forwards covered with Bailey Smith going, and then I can swap a flex. But actually, I can swap one of my midfielders for my flex. So let's just say it's Hall's playing from St Kilda, and I can swap him with a Levi Ashcroft. So he goes on my bench there, and now I've got some cover with Hall going into my flex position. So again, I've got my best 18. The hardest buy to manage, actually, so I forgot about Saab there and Nevitt. The hardest buy to manage is going to be round 12 this year. And you can see straight away there's a lot of dots. So that's where my rucks disappear. I've got a lot of forwards, and I've got a few backmen as well. So already for my best 18, if we put Smith on, let's just see how many I've actually got. And this will obviously change as the season goes on because some of these players will be traded out. But as a rough idea at the moment, I've got 5. But here in this section of the field, if Harry Boyd was playing, I'd have a 6th. My midfield, I need to put these guys on. So that takes me to 14. So I can go through each buy round and have a look and get a bit of a feel. I want to try to get a balanced lineup. And at the end, I can just scroll down and clear that action. And then all my players return. Up here, if you want to share your team to somebody, you can do a field screenshot. It will come up looking like this. Click copy, or you can even screenshot your trades and you can send it on if you're in a group chat and you want some advice from somebody. So they have added that little part to Supercoach, the layout this year. So if we go into a leagues and you want to start a league or join a league, when you first sign up, they will automatically put you in a league. So if I put view league here, there's 20 random people from the Supercoach world. It says want to play against other like-minded players. So you're now invited to a league, and I have some options here. So if I want to stay in this league, this is the league code. It's already full. Teams completed. So there's 12 people in this league who have actually completed their team. All right. So that's if somebody's asking you to join a league, create or join league, it says join a private league. So if I want to join, I can join a new public league if I want to. If I want to join a private league, that's easy done. So let's just say I want to be joining a private league. I put in the code that was sent to me. We'll click into that and that will send me to that particular league. I can join a new public league. So let's just say public league. Let's see what happens. Bang. I get entered into a public league right there. And if I don't want to be part of that league, well, I can quit as well. So I might have a look at that and go, okay, yep, there's some a lot of people online pretty active in here. I'm happy to come in, be part of their league. If I don't want to be it, I just remove my team and out we go. And that league gets deleted from my setup. You're always going to have one league open. So we need to set up a complete new league if I want to get rid of the one that I'm automatically entered into. So to create a private league, I can go open head. So open means unlimited amount of teams. You're not playing against anyone. It's just the highest score wins. Head to head, you can have any kind of amount. Well, this one's 20 teams, so you might have 20 friends. It starts round 2. There's a top 8 finals. You got head to head 10, or you want to create your own private league. Let's do that. We're going to create our own private league for our family. We'll call it the Family League. I can enter a description if I want. You can choose the amount of players you have. So let's just say in the family, we've got 8 people that want to come join. We're going to start it. So let's start we'll start in round 1. Final series, because we've got 8, we can play. Well, let's get 5 people involved in the finals. Skip buy round. So that was before when I showed the buys that come up. You because the teams aren't going to be full, you might choose to skip them and not be a part of it. You might want to play through the buy rounds to get the season over and done with quickly, but we'll go skip buy rounds. Secondary ladder. So if people are on the same amount of points, the same amount of wins, how do you want to differentiate between who's first and who's second? So you can use either their total points, or the percentage is when 2 teams play each other, that winning margin becomes your percentage. So we'll just go to total points. You can actually add an image this year if you want. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to go create my private league. So here's my private league that I've set up. I can send them an email, which will send them an invitation, or I can just share it on Facebook or send them individually the league code in a group chat. There's my ladder. I've been entered. I can invite my friends. I can, if I don't have any friends that I want out there or family who want to play, I can just add experts. Yeah, so I can add experts. So I added my good friend Al Patton. You can see now I've got 2 entrants in my league. I can keep going here. Joven, who won Supercoach last year, let's add in him. And now all of a sudden I've got 3. Because I've got the 2 leagues going, I can actually go back to this league and remove my team. Let's kick out of here, and then we'll see that I'm down to the 1 league, which is my league. I can go back into my view the league. I might have somebody else come and join it. Let's continue to add a few experts, and we can just fill our league with these guys. Who else do I want in here? I'll pick Chloe Williams from Code Sports. I'm not going to pick John Ralph. I'm going to go Maury's Magic. Let's go Mike Hussey. He was a great cricketer. And let's go a couple more. Let's go. We'll go Dan Batten, and we'll take Lee Montagno, who's the former AFL player expert this year. Bang, my league's 8 out of 8 entries. I can have a look at my league here and view it and see how it's set up. So I've got league settings. I've already talked about I'm skipping the buys. That I can edit any of this as well coming up to the start of the season. That's fine if I want to do it. And then, yeah, so that's how my league's going to be. So we've got our leagues done. I can also set up a rivalry for maybe somebody that's not in my league. I can just see how I go up against them if I want to. So I can put in find a team. You need to know their team name. There's mine, Punt Road Legend. So if I click on that, it'll come up as David, and I can click on that person, and we can actually have a look. So it'll give us a result, wins or losses against each other on any given week. And yeah, so I can have a little rivalry set up. I can set up multiple rivalries if I want. So that is another way of playing. To set up my crest, I just go back to home. It'll take me to the home screen of the Supercoach. This is where each week you're able to see how your scores are going, your overall rank, your weekly rank, how many leagues I've joined, how many trades I've got available. If I click up here, I can now go and design my crest. So there's plenty of different designs there. Maybe let's go the star. I can choose a shield color. Let's get creative here. Let's go blue. Make the ring yellow around it, and let's choose a pattern inside. Let's go purple, and then I can have a look how that looks. I can, maybe I want to do the arrows. Maybe I don't like that color, so maybe let's go the red and see. Oh yeah, that's cool. I'll save my little shield. Shield is now saved. If I go back to my home, you see my crest is done. Green dot means we're online. We've got our red star and a blue background with a yellow. So that's done. And then if I go back into our leagues, so we go into classic, and then that'll load up and we go into leagues. So that's your team updated now. That covers everything from how your classic team should look, how your leagues are set up if you want to set up your rivalries, and realistically now it's just altering your team until the start of the season to get a team that you like. Once the first teams come out, from an AFL point of view, these players will light up in green, and you can see who's available and who's not. But that's pretty well the basics of setting up your classic and your classic leagues done. We'll be back for a draft special and also an in-depth team. So have a look at this team series. If you guys are interested, then you can go back and edit your team to see what the other experts and content creators out there are looking at thinking for the 2025 season. Hope you've enjoyed that, guys, and we'll talk soon. Bye.